Now let us move to the next one, which says equivalent ratios. So what we are going to learn now is about equivalent ratios. Okay, just this example that we have just discussed, I want you to look at this carefully. 30 over 20 that we discussed, on dividing by 10 the numerator and denominator, we got 3:2. This shows that the two fractions are equal. They are representing the same value. Okay, so they are equivalent fractions. Similarly, 24 over 16 can be written as 3 over 2. So this also shows that this is an example of equivalent fractions. Is that right? The same thing we are going to learn now is about equivalent ratios. Okay, what you have just learned is basically we were working for equivalent ratios. It says if we multiply or divide both the numerator and denominator by the same number, then we get the equivalent ratios. We just did this, right? There could be so many equivalent ratios of a given ratio, because we can keep on multiplying with any number that we want, or we can even keep on dividing the numbers, or the fractions, the ratios, by any number. Now, in the case of equivalent ratios, only their values changes, but what they represent stays the same. Like you can see here the example of a pizza. In the first one, half of the shape, this particular circle, is shaded, right? In the second one also, clearly half of the shape is shaded. And in the third one also, half of the given shape is selected. So clearly we can see that in all the three images, half part have been shaded, right? But what we see in the first one is that clearly this particular fraction is written as 1 over 2, because only two parts are done of the whole. In the second one, we have the ratio as 2:4. Why? Because out of 4, because we have divided the whole into 4 equal parts, and out of the 4, 2 are shaded. In the last one, the ratio is 4:8. Why? Because out of the 8 parts that we have made of the whole, 4 are selected. So what we understand, that 1:2, 2:4, 4:8, they are all equivalent ratios. Okay, now let us look at the example. We need to find two equivalent ratios of 2:4. So it's really simple. How do we do this? We either multiply this number, or we can divide this number by a same number, so that we can get an equivalent ratio. For example, let me multiply both of these numbers by 10. So on multiplying the numerator and denominator by 10, the answer that we get is 20 over 40. And what we understand is that 2 over 4 is equivalent to 20 over 40. Let us write down some other equivalent fraction to 2 over 4. 2 over 4, we can divide the number by 2, because we can clearly see that both these numbers are there in 2 times table. So 2 is the highest common factor for these numbers. So on dividing 2 and 4 by 2, we get the answer as 1 over 2, right? So what do we see? That 1 over 2 and 2 over 4, they are equivalent fractions. And in fact, 1 over 2, 2 over 4, 20 over 40, these are all equivalent ratios. Okay, we have written them in the form of fractions. Let's write them in the form of ratios. So 1:2, 2:4, 20:40, they are all the equivalent ratios. I hope this is clear. Now comes another concept, that is the concept of the lowest form of ratio. Look at this particular ratio 1 over 2 here, that you have just got for the value for, that is the equivalent fraction for 2 over 4. Do you think you can do any further lowering this particular fraction? Do you think 1 over 2 can be simplified further? The answer is no. Why? Because clearly 1 and 2, they are the prime numbers, and also they don't have any common factor between them. Okay, so we cannot further simplify 1 over 2. However, if we were working with 20 over 40, we can simplify this number very easily. It's a big number and it has got 20 as its common factor between the numerator and denominator. So if I'm dividing the numerator and denominator by 20, I'll get the answer 1 over 2. Now this number 1 over 2 is the lowest form of the ratio. This is what we are going to learn now, that we have already just discussed. It says that if there is no common factor of numerator and denominator except 1, it is the lowest form of ratio. I hope this is clear. We have just discussed this. So let us look at the example. It says find the lowest form for the ratio of 25:100. So 25:100, writing it like this as in a fraction form, we can clearly see that because 25 and 100, they both are there in 25 times table. So we are going to divide both the numerator and denominator by 25 because this is the highest common factor between the two numbers. Right, so 25 goes into 25 times table once and 100 goes into 25 times table. 25 goes into 100 4 times. So 1 over 4 is the answer. That is the lowest form of the ratio that we have got, because we can see that we cannot further divide 1 over 4 by any number in order to simplify it further. Okay, now let us move ahead. It says Ravi and Rani started a business. This is a very interesting and important question to understand. Okay, so please make sure that you are listening to this carefully. It is very interesting and very important. You will always see similar kind of a question in your exams. So it says Ravi and Rani started a business and invested money in the ratio of 2:3. Okay, after 1 year, the total profit was 4 lakh rupees. Now what they thought, that let us divide this profit amongst each other. Okay, so Ravi said that let us divide the money into half. Okay, so what Ravi said, he was a clever boy. He said let us divide the profit into half and half. But Rani was smart enough. She said, why shall we divide the profit into half and half? If the ratio that we have invested the money is 2:3, that means Ravi has invested 2 parts and Rani has invested 3 parts. Okay, so just imagine it this way. If suppose they are investing 5 rupees. Okay, investment means that you are putting your money in a particular business. Okay, for example, if you are planning to make a business of pots. Okay, so flower pots you are starting to buy. So you need to buy the seeds for that. You need to buy good soil. Then you need to buy say fertilizers. Then you need to buy decorated pots, etc. So these are the things that you are going to buy. So this is your investment. Okay, and when you sell these flower pots, that will be your profit. Okay, so now imagine that when you invested the money, so you invested with a friend of yours in the ratio of 2:3. That means if you have invested 5 rupees, so your friend has invested 2 parts, that is 2 rupees, and you invested 3 rupees. Okay, so this is for every 5 rupees. So if you have invested 10 rupees, that means your say the person who invested 2 parts of it has invested 4 rupees, and the person who has invested 3 parts of it has invested 6 rupees. I hope this is clear, that how we are basically going to understand this concept of investment in terms of ratio. Okay, so now because Ravi was wrong, he was saying that let us divide this profit into half. No, we can't do that. If the investment was made in the ratio of 2:3, we must divide the profit into the same ratio. Okay, let us see how we can divide the profit. Here, the given ratio to us is 2:3. What do you mean by 2:3? Let us imagine what is the sum of these two ratios. So, sum of ratio. Sum of ratio means 2 plus 3. Okay, we are adding the two numbers. It gives a total of 5. Okay, so now it means that Ravi, he has invested 2 parts out of 5. Okay, if this circle represents the whole investment, and if I divide this particular circle into 5 equal parts, though it doesn't look 5 equal, but just imagine that these are 5 equal parts. Okay, so that means Ravi has invested 2 parts of it. Okay, these 2 parts are what Ravi has invested, and what Rani has invested is the remaining 3 parts. So clearly the one who is investing more should get more of the profit, right? So Ravi has invested 2 over 5, that is 2 parts out of the total. Rani has invested 3 parts of the total, that is 5. Now, in order to find the total profit, what we are going to do is we are going to find the fraction that is given, say 2 over 5 for Ravi. We need to multiply this by the given profit. Okay, let's see how. So for Ravi, he has invested 2 over 5, that is 2 parts of the total, which we have divided into 5 equal parts. We multiply this by the total profit, which is of rupees 4 lakh. So 4 lakh, and let's find what is the answer to this. So if you divide 4 lakh by 5, so let's keep the 2 as it is. So 40 becomes 8, and then we have got 1, 2, 3 and 4 zeros. So this comes out to be 160000. So the total amount of profit that can be given to Ravi is 1,60,000. I hope this is clear. Ravi gets 1,60,000, and because this is the amount, so we must write rupees in here. Okay, this is not a ratio. This is the amount that he's going to get. So this should be written in rupees. Okay, now let us find what is the amount that Rani is going to get. Because Rani has invested 3 parts out of the 5 parts, so the ratio is 3 over 5. If we times it by 4 lakh rupees, we are going to get, it is 3 times 8, 80,000, right? So now what is 3 times 8? 24, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the total profit that Rani is going to get as her share is of 2,40,000 rupees. I hope this is clear. What we did, first we got the ratio, we added the 2 numbers and we got the total sum of the ratio, that is 5. Now we looking at this particular image, you can see that if the total amount invested was 5, it divided into 5 parts. So Ravi invested 2 parts and Rani invested 3 parts. Now what we get to find the ratio of the given profit, and this is how we calculate the ratio of what Ravi has invested. Multiplying it by 4 lakh, we got 1,60,000 as the profit that he is going to get as his share, and the same thing we did for Rani. I hope this is clear. Moving ahead to the next question, example number 1, it says length and breadth of a rectangular field is given to us, which is 50 meters and 15 meters respectively. So it's simple. This is a rectangular field, and here the length is 50 meters and the breadth is given as 15 meters. Both the units are in meters, so nothing to worry about. Let us find the ratio of length to the breadth. Okay, so the ratio that is of length to breadth is equal to, length is 50 and the breadth is 15. Now you can clearly see that 50 and 15, they have got they can be further simplified. Let us simplify this ratio. So let us write 50 is to 15. Clearly both these numbers, they are divisible by 5. So let us divide them by 5. This comes out to be 10 and this comes out to be 3. So thus the final answer that we have got is the ratio of length to the breadth is 10 is to 3. So it is always advisable that whenever you are solving any problem, make sure you write the answer, the final answer, in the lowest form. Moving to the example 2, we need to find the ratio of 90 centimeter to 1.5 meter, because 1 meter has got how many centimeters? 100 centimeters. So 1.5 meters, we can write this as how many centimeters? 1 meter is basically 100 centimeter, and because it's 0.5 meters, that means it is 50 centimeters. Okay, so the total is 150 centimeters. So now let us find the ratio to this. So the ratio is 90 to 150, and we can simplify this. Clearly both the numbers are divisible by 10, so this comes out to be 9:15. Again we can simplify this because both the numbers are there in the 3 times table, so it comes out to be 3:5. Now we cannot further simplify this number, so the final answer is 3:5. Clear? Moving to the next question. Here it says that there are 45 persons working in an office. If the number of females is 25 and the remaining are male, what is the ratio? Then there are two parts that we need to solve. The first one is the number of females to the number of males, and the second one is the number of males to the number of females. Now this is how you need to be careful with the ratios, that what number should come first. So the total number, let us write it here, total number of people working in the office. So let us write total number of people. It is equal to 45. Now we are given number of female workers. So number of female workers is equal to 25. So then the number of males we can calculate. Number of male workers, let's find it out. Workers is equal to 45 minus 25. That will be the number of male workers, right? So it is 20. Okay. Now, in the first part, it is asking what is the number of females to the number of males. So what is the number of female? The number of female is 25. And what is the number of male? It is 20. Is that right? Now, do you think you can simplify this particular ratio? Yes, both these numbers are divisible by 5. So dividing 25 by 5 gives 5, and dividing 20 by 5 gives 4. So instead of 25:20, we can write it as 5:4. This is the ratio for the number of females to the number of males. Now let us do the second part of this, that is the number of males to the number of females. So the number of males is 20 and the number of females is 25. Now the ratio comes out to be as 20:25. Okay, we need to be careful what number needs to be written first. So again 20:25 can be simplified, and the answer that we are going to get, the final one, is 4:5. I hope this is clear, and I hope you are confident to work out such kind of questions of ratio. Let us discuss the next example. It says, give two equivalent ratios to 6/4, or we can read this as 6:4. So we can write 6:4 as 6/4. We can find any number of equivalent fractions either by multiplying or by dividing the number with the same number. That is for both numerator and denominator. So let me multiply both these numbers by 2. I can get the answer 6 times 2 is 12 and 4 times 2 is 8. Clear? Now let us find the equivalent fraction for 6/4 by dividing the numerator and denominator by 2. Okay, so 6 divided by 2 is 3 and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Thus we have calculated the two equivalent fractions for, the two equivalent ratios for 6:4. Let us write them down in the form of ratios as well. So 12/8 can be written as 12:8, and 3/2 is 3:2. I hope this is clear how we have calculated the equivalent ratios. Moving to the next question. Here we are given a certain part of the fraction, that is 14/21 equals to something over 3 and 6 over something. So we need to find this missing number. Let us take the first one here. 14/21 is equal to something over 3. Now, can you think what you need to do with 21 to make it 3? Are you going to multiply it with certain number, or shall we divide it by some number? I hope you know that because we are going from a bigger number to a smaller number, we must divide 21. And 21 when divided by 7 gives the answer 3. What we do with the denominator, we do the same with the numerator. So let us divide 14 by 7 as well. So 14 when divided by 7 gives the answer 2. So what is the missing number here? It is 2. Moving to the next part. Again, we are going to use this number. Let us use 2 over 3. So we know the fraction 2 over 3 and we need to find 6 over something. So what do? We take the help of the numerator as it is given complete. So what we do in order to go from 2 to 6, we need to multiply it. And multiply by which number? 2 times what number gives 6? It is 3. So what we do with the numerator, let's do the same with the denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9. Thus the missing number here is 9. I hope it is clear how we can find a missing number by simply working out like the equal fractions. Moving to the next one here. It is given that the ratio of distance of the school from Mary's house to the distance of school from John's house is 2:1. So what is the ratio? 2 represent the distance of Mary's house and 1 represent the distance from John's house, and both are compared to the distance from school. So it's asking us in the first question, who lives nearer to the school? So the one which is showing you the smaller number in the ratio is definitely the one who's living closer to school. So who lives nearer? Clearly, because John is representing 1 in the ratio, so we can write it here that John lives, let us write John lives nearer to the school. So John lives nearer. Let's complete the following table which shows some possible distances that Mary and John could live from the school. So we are basically going to work the equivalent fractions. Okay, so equivalent fractions, or you can say equivalent ratios. So here in the first one, you can see the distance from Mary's home to school in kilometers and distance from John's home to school. Okay, both are given in kilometers. So for Mary, it is written 10. So because Mary is at a distance twice as much as John's distance. So if it is John's is 5, so Mary is double of it. So it is 10. If John is 4, what is double of it? It is 8. If now we are given for Mary that is 4. So John is half of it. So it is 2. Now we have got here 3. What is double of 3? It is 6. Now here we are given 1. What is double of 1? 2. Okay, so this is how we can complete the table by working out the equal fractions. Let's do the C part. It says if the ratio of distance of Mary's home to the distance of Kalam's home from school is 1:2. Now we are changing the ratio because we are not comparing now with the school. Now we are not comparing Mary's and John's distance from school. Now we are comparing Mary's distance and Kalam's distance from school. So Mary's distance, if it is represented by 1 and Kalam's home is represented by 2 in the ratio. So what do you think? Who lives nearer now? Clearly, now Mary lives nearer. So let's write Mary's house or Mary's home is nearer to school. I hope it's clear that how we are finding who lives near or who lives far just by looking at the ratio. Okay, so the number which is representing the smaller number in the ratio is definitely living closer to school. Let us do example number 7. It says divide rupees 60 in the ratio of 1:2 between Kirti and Karan. Kirti and Kiran, right? So clearly because the ratio is given 1:2 for Kirti, let's write it here, Kirti and Kiran. So this shows that Kirti is representing 1 for this particular ratio and Kiran is representing two parts of the ratio. I hope you remember how we have calculated the profit that we have shared between the two. Similarly, we are going to do this particular value of 60 using the ratio 1:2. So because Kirti, let us write it here, that Kirti here has got, before Kirti, let us write what is the sum of the ratio. That is the first point we should do, right? So sum of the given ratio. So the given ratio to us is 1:2. So the sum of 1 plus 2 is 3, right? Now let us write these ratios and fractions. So for Kirti, let us write first. So Kirti has got 1 out of 3. She's going to get 1 out of 3 parts. Okay, so 1 out of 3, we need to times it by rupees 60 to get the amount that she's going to get. So the answer is rupees 20. Whenever you are calculating any amount, you must mention what unit it is representing. Okay, because we are talking about money, it is represented at rupees. Now the next part, it is for Kiran. For Kiran, she needs to have 2 parts out of the total, that is 3, and we need to times it by 60. So the answer is, so it's 20 times by 3, it is 40. Okay, so this is the total amount that Kiran is going to get out of rupees 60. I hope this is clear how we have divided the amount.